Hi, I'm Sam, and I'm late to the party. That's better. In an age where most of us are being forced to stay indoors, self-quarantine, or otherwise deal with the dumpster fire that was this past year, it occurs to me that a lot more of us have been playing more and more video games. And if you're anything like me, you're perpetually broke all the time, meaning you don't have a whole lot of money to spend on some of the newer stuff, or you simply can't afford the new systems coming out. There's nothing wrong with that. There may have been a few games you missed. In that case, welcome to a new series where I take you through some of the older games you may have missed, are really fun, and most importantly, are worth every dime. So grab a cup of coffee, get ready, and let's explore this party together. Also excuse the Bandicam watermark, I'm making this off a budget of nothing. The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion is a first-person action-adventure role-playing game that came out way back in 2006 to overwhelmingly high acclaim, but these days it kinda seems to have faded a bit from memory, being largely overshadowed by its 2011 successor, Skyrim. And while I'm not saying anything bad about Skyrim, aside from the fact it's been re-released 19 times too many, Oblivion holds a special place in my heart, having picked it up originally by complete chance in a dual-disc pack with the original BioShock, costing the same amount of money as if BioShock were just be bought alone. I figured if this game I'd never heard of turned out to be terrible, it's not exactly a loss, I just gained a new coaster, I guess. Remember these? Physical computer games? On a CD-ROM? Wow, we are getting old, aren't we? Thank God for Steam, right? After Captain Jean-Luc Picard narrates our opening cinematic, we're taken to the character creation screen where we get to choose who we play as for the remainder of the game. I tend to pick the Argonian race because lizard people. Every race has different advantages, and every class sets you up for a different play style. Want to be a stealthy lizard person who's more tailored to stabbing people in the back? Great! A stereotypical orc in heavy armor who just steps on people. A high elf specializing in the equally as great magic classes? Or maybe you just want to be a furry with more basic weaponry. The choice truly is yours on whatever straightforward or hybrid character you want. The leveling system is odd in this one, where you only level up by training your major skills a total of 10 times in any order or any way. Your minor skills still level up, but they'll never add your overall character level. I say this leveling system's a bit odd because it's not the amount of damage you do, it's the amount of times you use that specific skill. Literally doing the same action over and over again results in easy grinding. Repeatedly using weak weapons or spells on strong enemies, sneaking back and forth behind someone for long periods, or even jumping around everywhere like a Harlem Globetrotter are easy ways that'll get your level up fast. And you'll want to. As you level up, the game tends to level up with you. New enemies are encountered, better loot is dropped, and new skills like dodging and paralyzing strikes are learned. So go out, grab a rusty dagger, crank that difficulty slider all the way up, and stab a mudcrab a few thousand times. Voila, you're suddenly a samurai. The game was sorta infamous for this design. Well, that and being a meme.
Stop right there, criminal scum! Nobody breaks the law on my watch!
But that doesn't take away from the pure charm and fun of this game. Once you complete the tutorial mission, you'll have learned the basic lore and mechanics, and you'll get to step out of the sewers. Because every game needs a sewer level. You are now free to explore the world to your heart's content. And you'll notice right away that for a nearly 15-year-old game, the graphics still hold up pretty damn well. And if you're like me and would need to sell a kidney to afford a more hardcore gaming rig, you should still be able to crank your settings up to Ultra, and it should work just fine. Trust me, the difference between Ultra and even medium graphics is insane. Dive into the massive lore or ignore it completely. Proceed through the main quest right away or hit up the local tavern for rumors and side quests. Fast travel or grab a horse. The choice is yours. Now let's get into what makes this game memorable. Without giving too much away, the main quest involves you tracking down an illegitimate heir to the throne, learning about the dark forces threatening the world of Tamriel, and closing Oblivion gates. What are Oblivion gates? Seriously though, going through these gates leads you into a hellish dimension filled with forces wanting to rip out your skull, invade the world, and otherwise give you a bad time. Throughout the course of the game, you'll find out what these gates are, what causes them, and how to close them. And there are literally dozens of these things spread out throughout the map, getting more and more dangerous the higher the level you go. And while it's in no way, shape, or form required to tackle them all, the Plains of Oblivion contain unique loot and great items that are only available there, implementing a risk-reward system that ends up in great character building aspects. Whether that be certain alchemy ingredients to make better potions, new weapons, or powerful enchanted items.
You should not be here, mortal!
Turns out, venturing to hell and back is actually more fun than it sounds. Plus, all of Oblivion just screams heavy metal music. But if taking on the role of world savior and walking into literal hell dimensions to take on gods of destructions is a little too much pressure for you, you could always just completely abandon the main quest and join up with a faction. Let me explain. There are a number of factions in the game, with 5 of them having amazing quest lines attached to them. You have the Fighters Guild, the Mages Guild, the Thieves Guild, along with the Arena and the Dark Brotherhood. Each one has its own story, unique characters, rewards, and enjoyability factors. Each faction tailors more towards a certain playstyle, though any can be joined regardless of what your specific build happens to be. The Fighters and Mages Guild both have locations in several towns and offer more mercenary-like work from the former and more magic and arcane knowledge from the latter. The Thieves Guild, while harder to join, provides you with a way to sell off your stolen goods and offers an excellent money-making scheme at lower levels. Fence enough loot and you get to participate in special jobs, ranging from Robin Hood-like feats to almost casino-like massive heists. Putting the effort here is really worth it for the rewards. But just make sure your sneak level is high or you're gonna have a bad time.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence. Your stolen goods are now forfeit.
The arena is the most straightforward. Strap on your battle raiment, pick your killing method of choice, and step into a gladiatorial deathmatch at your chances for some gold. Easy. Just be sure not to take off your uniform. They don't like that.
Can this be? The blue team combatant is not wearing an arena battle raiment.
You complete and utter disgrace. Disqualified for not wearing your battle raiment? Don't you dare humiliate the blue team like this again.
The Dark Brotherhood is honestly my favorite, tailoring more towards stealthy playstyles and offering assassination contracts in an underground cult-like organization hidden away in plain sight to inspire fear from the shadows. It also offers what I think are the 2 most enjoyable characters in the entire game, Lucy and LeChance, who couldn't possibly be cheesier.
Then heed my words, for I will not repeat them. On the green road to the north of Breville lies the Inn of Ill Omen. There you will find a man named Rufio.
And the leader of the Dark Brotherhood chapter, Ochiva, who just wants you to be the best little assassin you can be.
Go now, dear family member, and may the Night Mother wrap you in her cold, loving embrace.
And while stalking and killing from the shadows will net you better bonus items and more gold, thankfully, it's not actually required here. So if you'd rather drop your dagger in favor of a battle axe and some rage-inducing skooma, have at it. The game even kind of pokes fun at this with one of its particular members.
I know what you're thinking. Gogron, he's too big to be sneaky. Well, you're right. Me, I like to just go in and hack my targets to pieces. Ha!
But with all that being said, that doesn't mean this game is perfect, nor is it devoid of its problems. After all, something extremely popular can still merit criticism. Okay, first off, and this is personal, this game can get annoyingly dark at times in certain areas, and while there's plenty of torches and spells for lighting the game, often it seems like it does very little and can make exploration an incredible grind. I even got to the point of using a console command just to make it easier. Just don't use this in more well-lit areas. Oh, Jesus. And while the dungeons, caves, and ruins are all well worth exploring, because there's so many of them, they can often start to feel pretty similar pretty quickly, thanks to the assets and textures being recycled throughout the game. Although it did come out in 2006, so the tech wasn't quite there yet in more open world games. So maybe just raid 1 or 2 tombs at a time and keep it from getting too stale. Oh, and for the love of God, save often. The auto-saving is often unreliable, and if you end up getting shipwrecked by an ambush or fall into a floor trap, you never really know how far back it'll put you. Especially if the game decides to hard crash on you and you lose 2 hours worth of progress like I did. But to be fair, this only happened to me once, and thanks to console commands, I was able to make up that 2 hours in about 15 minutes or so. But don't let those little negativities take away from the overall enjoyment of this game. If you find you're getting your ass kicked more often than Yamcha, or alternatively, you feel too much like a badass slaughtering endless rats and wolves, you can always adjust the difficulty at any time and there's literally no downside, aside from the previously mentioned leveling system. Enemies will have more or less damage resistance, and you'll in turn take more or less damage. I find about a third of the way up the slider is good for any newcomer who wants to avoid getting bored too quickly. Or if you happen to play this on a computer like I've been, you can look up all the console commands and see what havoc you can just turn up. And at the end of the day, there's really no way to play this game wrong, so long as you're having fun doing it. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion is available on the Xbox Store, the PlayStation Network, and Steam, all for around 15 or so bucks for the Ultimate Edition, which also includes the fantastic DLC, adding even more hours of gameplay to this already amazing game. It's well worth the price, easy for newcomers, engaging for vets, and if you haven't played it in a while, definitely look it up again. You never know what you might have missed. Remember, if you're late to the party, it's still going on, so you might as well enjoy yourself. I'll see you next time.
Sam, I am.